Betting on democracy, political prediction markets. Ahead of the most recent U.S. presidential election, all major outlets had the two candidates in a dead heat. Some even saw that Harris might pull away by a few points. In stark contrast, the two leading prediction markets, Polymarket and Kalshi, traded over $3.7 billion of contracts and gave Trump roughly a 15-point advantage. Come election day, these bettors were correct. Trump won all 7 swing states, and the Republican Party took home all 3 branches of government. Now, this was most Americans' first time hearing of prediction markets, but in reality, the idea originated over 40 years ago in a small Iowa bar after 3 economists theorized that this could be a method of predicting wisdom of the crowds with the upcoming 1988 primaries. The results were incredibly accurate, and the prediction market, though it was a small scale, beat out many major polls such as ABC and Gallup. Then, 2 years later, in 1990, R. Hansen authored his white paper on whether or not gambling could save science as a method of better predicting paper publishing in academia as opposed to politics and favoritism. Let's walk through a simple example of how prediction markets work. Let's picture a game in which you have 2 players. I'll be player 1, you'll be player 2. Let's say that I'm convinced that it's going to rain tomorrow. Let's say you're convinced it's not going to rain tomorrow. Let's say that I'm confident enough to bet $6 that it will rain tomorrow, and you're confident enough to bet $4 that it won't rain tomorrow. Let's pool our money and give it to a trusted third party. Then, if it does rain, I'll win all $10 and you'll get 0. And if it doesn't rain, you'll win $10 and I'll get 0. Implicitly, we're defining here that the chance of rain tomorrow is 60%. For some basic probability, we know the probability of rain is the probability that I win, which is just my stake over the total pot. Likewise, the probability of no rain is the probability that you win, which is your stake over the total pot. Now imagine if you had not just 2 players, but thousands, if not millions. When you have massive markets such as this one, which predicts Gavin Newsom's odds in 2028, and you aggregate millions of dollars and millions of trades, you see the fluctuations over time of the demand for a yes contract. In the Polymarket and Kalshi world, you can buy a contract for anywhere between $0 and $1, and if that contract cashes out, you'll be awarded $1. If the question is how accurate are prediction markets, the answer in short is very. The answer more complexly is that there's a thing called a Brier score, which calculates whether or not your predictions and your outcomes are accurate, and the Brier score for Polymarket is roughly 0.09, which is incredibly accurate in the grand scheme of predictions. Overall, Polymarket's accuracy ranges between 73 and 90%, given on the length of the prediction forecasted. Americans are not particularly favorable of Polymarket and Kalshi, seeing the prediction market space as another form of sports betting and cryptocurrency. Despite this apparent lack of concern, prediction markets have exploded in recent years, nearly 20xing since the election itself. Likewise, Polymarket is introducing a host of new contracts every month that you can trade on. In the politics section alone, there are 1,700 active prediction markets, with 298 being Trump-related. Some of these are more facetious, like Epstein's suicide note, whereas others could be manipulated, like what Trump will say during a given event. Some events are more sinister, regarding regime change and murder and political overthrow, which has raised a significant number of questions. In the most recent case of Venezuela's takeover, a U.S. service member was charged after profiting nearly $400,000 on a Polymarket bet. Similarly, this has raised moral concern from congressmen. The question that we all have to answer is whether or not this will forecast the future and impact it in a positive or negative way. Let's raise the question of whether or not this is prediction or persuasion. Is there a point at which these predictions are seen as truth, and therefore higher odds lead to more campaign dollars or less challenge running races, or overall negative political impacts due to kind of an oversurplus of knowledge? In essence, is there a possibility that these forecasts become truth themselves, not just reactions? That raises the question, too, of who makes these calls, who calls these shots. Unfortunately, I'm afraid it'll be the technocrats and not the American people.